Thank you very much, Leader Pelosi and President and the machinists who are here. I don't have prepared remarks, but I do have a story to tell you. I was in Berlin, Germany last year, and I was at a meeting with the American Chamber of Commerce in Berlin. The Siemens representative was there, and he assured me, as a representative of the United States, that he was there to convey a positive corporate culture to the people of Germany and Europe about the commitment of Siemens. Today, we are asking Siemens to reaffirm their commitment to the American worker and the American economy out of an obligation that they have to this country. Workers, including those at Dresser Rand, have built that company for 100 years. It was highly profitable. A changing world economy has affected that, but the commitment of the workers has not changed. And as Leader Pelosi said, Republicans did a tax cut last year, and they promised us something. They said that through dynamic scoring, these tax cuts will pay for themselves. I'm here to tell you that all the studies have been done, the best minds at Harvard, at Yale, at Stanford, and the conclusion is very clear. There is not a tax cut in human history that has ever paid for itself. The best case scenario is that for every dollar you give away in a tax cut, you get 30 cents in return. And then the White House had the audacity to put out a report, the White House Council of Economic Advisors, and they said that every American household will get between $4,000 and $9,000 as a result of this tax cut. How are you doing with that? How are you doing with that? How are you doing with that? So there used to be a deal in America, and our corporate leadership believed in shared prosperity, a virtuous cycle of growth. And that was that as they benefited, their workers benefited, the managers benefited, and all those communities within which, like Wellsville, would benefit, shared prosperity. And then Milton Friedman wrote a book in 1963, and it was taught in American business schools that said, forget about all those stakeholders, all the workers, the managers, and the communities. Just push profits to your shareholders. Forget about them. Well, I'll tell you something. I think we're on the verge of a new progressive era. And I think when you see teachers in this nation, in red states, who walk out, and a week later they get their demands, that is indicative of an empowered citizenship. I think you are in solidarity. I think you are in solidarity with those who are concerned about the opioid epidemic, who are destroying communities and destroying states. You're in solidarity with teachers, those who are concerned generally about the environment. But today, as Leader Pelosi has said, this is a categorical rejection of the lies that have been perpetrated with this tax cut. They used to call it supply-side economics. When that didn't work, they rebranded it as trickle-down economics. When that didn't work, they started calling it dynamic scoring. It's the same thing. It's fraud, and we shouldn't put up with it. Okay. With that, I want to introduce a wonderful man from Wellsville. Dresser Rand has been in operation for 100 years. They employ 360 people, 250 of which are machinists. This gentleman has worked there for 3 decades, and now he's going to lose his job because of corporate greed, despite the promises that corporate America made to the American worker. Jim Lewis.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian. As he said, my name is James Lewis. I've been working for Dresser Rand in Wellsville for 30 years. Wellsville community is a population of about 4,600. And the facility that I've worked for has been in business for right at 103 years. And in fact, we had 2 years ago, we had a 100-year anniversary, just a year after Siemens purchased the Dresser Rand facility. And they assured us, even at that celebration, that we were doing well and that there was no worries for the future. Yeah, we see how that ended up. We produce propulsion units for the aircraft carriers. We also machined commercial steam turbines at the Wellsville facility. We produce the propulsion units for the CVN-77, George H.W. Bush, the CVN-78, the Gerald Ford, and the CVN-79, that's the John F. Kennedy. And now we are machining the propulsion units for the CVN 80 USS Enterprise. There's 8 steam turbines that goes into an aircraft carrier, 4 low pressure and 4 high pressure. It takes us about 4 years to produce all of these propulsion units for the Navy. Siemens, as I said, Siemens purchased Dresser-Rand in 2014, and we just continued doing what we do. We build the propulsion units for the aircraft carriers. We build steam turbines, some of the best in the world. We've got a very skilled workforce there at Dresser. Then, on February 19th, 2018, Siemens announced that it was selling its government work to Curtiss-Wright. The commercial work was being moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and this was putting 250 employees, including myself, out of a job. But the effects go far beyond us. That 4,600 people in Wellsville, it's going to devastate, because this is about $20 million annual liquid money that is not going to be circulated in this community anymore. So I want to know, what good that this corporate tax scam done for us. As President Martinez said, why is an employer expecting tax breaks with one hand and handing out pink slips with the other? So I hope Washington realizes what is happening with these tax breaks, because so far we're one of the ones that are going down. So with that, thank you very much.